afternoon, Laurent. Laurent Mignon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, thank you for coming. I will ask you perhaps to just in 1 or 2 minutes present who you are and what is BPCE, because in France we know them very well, but we have more than 52% foreigners here, so perhaps good to present a bit.
Well, yeah, it's 5 minutes of advertising a little bit. So, no, BPCE is the second largest retail banking group in France. We have roughly 20% market share on the French banking scene. It's a large group, 24 billion of net banking income. We have a pretty solid group, more than 15% of Core Tier 1. We're active with more than 100,000 of employees, large part of them, more than 85% of them on the retail banking part. We have also active in the wholesale or asset management business through Natixis mainly. And globally, the group is having over 7,000 agencies throughout France, covering all the territories with a very strong local presence. So it's a large group. It's a young group. It has been created 10 years ago with the merger of two very old part in France, Caisse d'Épargne, who's been existing for more than 200 years this year, so it's a long story, and Banque Populaire. Both of them came together 10 years ago during the financial crisis in order to create a stronger group and one of the main banking group in France now.
100,000 people, 7,000 branches. I assume digital transformation, it's just not only keywords on a white paper. So could you tell us a bit more of what is the reality of digital transformation for a banking group of that size?
Well, it's 100,000 employees, but it's also 30 million customers. So what we're doing in digital transformation is what can we do better through digital technology to our customers, to our 30 million customers. So we have work very significantly in order to first give a better service to our customers. The number one issue with work is for retail customers. On the self-care issue, we've developed a lot of elements that help our customers in order to manage their account, their card, everything. So that's a very important thing. And we've made huge efforts and huge investment in order to make it happen. Number two is make the process of the bank easier and more efficient. So it's a very large part of what we're doing too. And the third element is how can we give more ability to our advisors, to the people in agencies in order to be more efficient in the way they work with their clients. So bringing to them tools in order to be more efficient is really the last point. The last element without the customers is how do we make the fact that our own employees become digital champions themselves and use digital as a key element of their day-to-day life. So we're bringing a lot of effort to make sure that if we want to be digital to our customer, we have to make sure that the company is becoming digital by itself. So it's a long journey also because we still have a long list of complex structures and systems, but we're working hard in order to make the company much more digital itself as it is.
And just last on that point, what is the biggest challenge from your point of view for this digital transformation you are facing today? It must be different from yesterday and tomorrow will be another one, but today what is your biggest challenge?
Well, in my view, the number one issue in order to be efficient is linked to data. And one of our we've got within the bank probably more than 40,000 different types of data, banking data or data about the way our customer behave. And to use that as being a very efficient tool to make sure that those data are usable, that they are we can really manage them is a key element because we think that data is going to be the real challenge for tomorrow. So creating a true data lake from all our system and be able to use them is the number one challenge that we have today in front of us. So this is a key element.
Sorry, I'm cutting the line of our questions, but as you are speaking of data this morning with the panel with Mrs. Lagarde, data was a key question. So
Sure.
do you think today you have the good legal weapons to treat the data of your customer? Do you have a good level playing field compared to other actors? Or do you have perhaps too many questions already too?
No, but it's an endless issue. Huh? But first of all, it's big thing about data is linked to trust. And we think that as a bank, we're an institution of trust. And it's very important that the way we do use data is in line with this vision, that we are an institution in which our client can have trust. So we should use efficiently, but in the right way, the information that we have from our clients. Do we have the level playing field in order to use that compared to other actors? Well, we are a regulated body. We are a bank, and whatever we do, we are regulated, even if we work on non-regulated fields. We are a big player in the payment field, but we're not only a payment company.
We are regulated for what you are, not
exactly,
for what you do.
Exactly. Any subsidiary of the group is implicitly regulated through the banking regulation. So we have to comply with that. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying that in terms of level playing field, which was part of your question, is not that obvious.
You are not complaining, but perhaps as Carlos Torres Villa this morning, you would be happy if that changed.
Well, I think it's also... Well, it's going to be difficult to change it, I think. Well, potentially could be a dream, but honestly, we have to live with reality. So I'm not sure it's going to change. The only thing is, how can we use that as being an element of advantage in our relationship with our client? And again, I mentioned trust because I think trust or security is elements that are going to be more and more valued by clients over time. And the fact that as a large institution, we can provide to them trust, we can provide to them reliability, security in the usage of their data, I think is a key element of what we can propose to them.
Thank you. BPCE was the first banking group in France when I built this event in 2015, to accept to come on that stage. It was at this time François Perrol, the CEO. So for you, it was already something important, Fintech, in 2015. You have been in the bank also at different positions in that time. So you have been a good witness of this cooperation, competition with Fintech. How would you describe the last 4 years' journey with those fintechs and also perhaps your vision for the next 12 months?
Well, we're not trying to oppose fintech and the bank. I think it's both fintech and the large banking organization have their role to play. We've been trying to create an environment where fintech can find their way throughout the group since very early, in 2015. You said François was one of the first banker to come to this forum, but it's true that at Natixis, where I was CEO, we've been active with fintech from that time, specifically in the payment industry, which has been the #1 area where we started, and we've made significant acquisitions through Dalenis, Payplug, S-Money, Le Pot Commun, Comiteo recently, but also partnership with a company like Meniga. We have partnership with investors like Truffle, where we do invest together in fintech, and that gives us some ways to look to what are the right innovation. So for us, Wind, very recently, we just announced in the payment sector too. So for us to create an ecosystem where we can have dialogue and create an ecosystem where fintech can develop themselves has been at the heart of our strategy since that time. Not easy, I can tell you that we've made some acquisitions and to make sure that they can still develop themselves within the framework of the bank, together with all the compliance and all the rules that a larger institution is putting on those ones, is not an easy one. Keep the ability to create, to innovate, together within being in a large organization is a day-to-day work, and is not an easy task.
I have to ask a question because people here are loyal to the event. So they were here last year with François, and they do know that one of the key acquisition in the past year was Fidor, and many people say, hey, what happened? And you do know as me that sometimes on Twitter news flow is complex. So what's the, I don't ask you the full story, just for you, the Fidor is just a fail or just a normal learning curve of an industrial process? I mean, learning to work with other actors like Fintech.
Well, no, I think Fidor is a great company. They're doing a great job, and they've got two big tasks, one on the B2B business and one on the B2C business. Fundamentally, I've made a choice, which is very strong at the beginning of this year, is that I wanted to develop all the digital investment that we do to develop and to make that our two banks, Banque Populaire and Caisse d'Épargne, become digital. And that I didn't want to create on the side a pure fintech company that was developing itself, which was part of the project when we bought Fidor a few years ago, 2 years ago exactly. So Fidor is still going well, developing itself well, have a great strategy. In fact, we have changed our strategy, and our strategy is really to invest in changing our organization to become digital and not to make digital outside the organization. When I took the leadership of this company, there was still some tension between the people because they saw digital was, a specific world, and that they were the old bank. I don't think it's true. I think we have to give strong signal that we want to transform our own organization into digital organization. And the decision I took on the strategy vis-à-vis Fidor was exactly this one. We didn't want to develop Fidor France because we want to invest in the digitalization of our own organization, and then it means that we have to find the right development for Fidor for coming on. But it's a great company, doing very well.
Thank you for clarification. To come back to the bank, what will be, in your point of view, the key disruptive technologies to impact retail banking in coming years?
Well, again, technology, I think everything is about how you will use data. So then technology, you could call it machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, whatever you want. But the real issue is how do we use well the data that we have in order to enhance our ability to serve better our clients. That's the number one thing. And if we do that well, I think we will very in-depth transform our companies. Implicitly, the usage of data has been done for the time being in the brain of our advisors in agencies and so on. We have to make that professionally. We make to enlarge the access to data of those people through our ability to manage them well and to use them. We have today roughly 280 potential use case that are under study within the group. Not all of them will come through, but a large part of them will come through. And they can go from usage of how do we see clients that will want to leave some products, clients that want to have new willingness for products, or it could be a new service. It can be identify the key moment of life of some client. I mean, a lot of things are done through that. And we today are pretty good in using a very small part of our data. We have massive amount of data. We can use them much better. And also we have external data that we can use, and we don't use them well. And bringing them together is one of the key success factors tomorrow.
It's only the beginning.
Oh, just the beginning. And what we've done is the very first part of the route. It's a long journey. Probably that we've done a large part of what you could do in terms of helping the client in self-care and so on. But the real job, which is really using data, is for the next 10 years. It's going to take a long time and massive amount of investment.
You are ready to do it?
Well, sure. And we do think it's the transformation of the bank will come from that.
BPCE is one of the most active banks in payment, and this domain is like ages for fintech. It's 20 years we have transformation in payment, not to mention the over-regulation, PSD1, PSD2, DMA2, and so on, perhaps PSD3 tomorrow. So what is your vision of the future evolutions to expect in the payment industry for retail banking?
Well, payment is an industry that has drastically changed over the last 10 years, as I mentioned, while it was, well, if we look to the bank, a big part of our payment business was seen as a sort of back office not long time ago. Huh? Now it is a real business, and we're developing ourselves and we want to be one key player in the payment industry in Europe. Payment is becoming a European business, well, a global business, in fact, but also European because of change in regulation, change in technology, change in the habits of our clients in terms of how they use payment. So this is a key strategic element to us. We're investing significant amount of money in order to do that. As I mentioned, we've made several acquisitions. We're using them now the best as we can in order to create a comprehensive organization around payment. And we will continue. We have discussion with many other partners in order to be an actor in Europe, because I think you cannot be only an actor in France in this market. And it is an element where you've got constant innovation. I think we've been one of the first actors ready for the instant payment in France. And we start to use instant payment in some of the proposals we do to our clients, in insurance, in factoring, for example, today. But we'll keep on innovating, proposing new solutions. We also probably have been the number one proposing Apple Pay or Samsung Pay to our clients, which is, I mean, it's a more gimmick part of the thing, but it's just showing that if you come to us, all payment means will be available to our clients. And we want that there's a seamless process. They can use payment in any time, and we can be a provider of the most efficient payment system.
So banks are still in payments.
Yeah, sure.
To conclude, because we're already very, very late, I give you perhaps just 1 minute of conclusion to speak perhaps of something else, of digital, but just what are the group priorities in the next 3 years, not only in digital transformation?
Well, it's not only, but the number one element and priority for me in the group is to make sure that we're transforming our retail organization and retail bank in order to be, to be efficient. Growing our retail banking is really part of the number one priority that we have. That includes digital, not only digital, but that includes digital, obviously, and we're putting a huge emphasis on that. And with the investment we're making, with the structure, very much entrepreneurial structure of the group, I think we have the ability to be successful on that.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.